I've been in this game for 8 years now and lost literally hundreds of thousands of dollars trying out different altcoin strategies. And trust me, this is the only sensible way to approach the altcoin market. So before I get into strategies, I want to just tell you that most altcoins fail. There are brutal bear markets in the crypto space. Every 4 years, roughly speaking, there's the equivalent of the Great Depression. So it's impossible for altcoins to plan long term. They work in these 2-year bull markets where they have to do everything, because in the bear markets, they just have to cut on costs. They can't innovate, and it's impossible to survive for like 99% of altcoins. It's an ineffective market. Even if you make something amazing, chances are no one's ever going to find you, because a million meme coins was created the same day you launched a new product, right? Most of the institutional people are just buying Bitcoin. The altcoin traders are retail investors, and we are hype driven. We are just we're not experienced. We don't have systems in place. We just look up top 10 altcoins on YouTube and buy whatever our favorite YouTuber tells us to buy. That's what most people do, actually. And there's way too much leverage trading. If you're a sophisticated investor, leverage is an amazing tool. But if you're new and you don't know what you're doing, stay away from leverage. And the reason I say this is because leverage trading hypes up the markets when it's hot, but when they get liquidated, it crashes. So instead of getting like a 10% correction, we get a 30% correction because all of the longs were liquidated, right? So it's basically forced selling. And that creates this insane volatility that the crypto market has. And that's a great opportunity for traders, but it's not good for altcoins because the market is unstable, and creating great projects is really hard in this volatile market. And as investors, you have to realize that altcoins kind of suck in the long term. The only sensible long-term bet is Bitcoin. They are really risky because they have the idiosyncratic risk. That's the risk associated with the altcoin itself. So for example, if you're buying, let's say you're buying Uniswap, right? You have the idiosyncratic risk of Uniswap failing or something wrong happening with Uniswap itself. And you have the systemic risk of the crypto market in general, right? So you probably noticed that if Bitcoin dips, altcoins dip as well. No matter what's happening with the altcoin itself. Uniswap might be doing great, but if Bitcoin goes down, Uniswap follows. You also have a temporal risk. If you time it badly when it comes to the cycles of the market, no matter how good the project is or how good the developers or the team behind is, you're going to lose money if you time it badly with the cycles and stuff like that. And there's also a narrative risk. If you get into the wrong narrative at the wrong time, no matter how great the project is, you're going to lose money. Because this is a hype-driven, it's a story-driven market, right? So you have to time the narrative, you have to time the cycle, and you have to take into consideration the idiosyncratic risk and the systemic risk of altcoins. That's hard to do. So why do I hold 80% of my portfolio in altcoins? Well, it's because altcoins move in cycles. And if you time these cycles, you can actually make money trading altcoins. We have the Bitcoin seasons and we have the altcoin seasons, making up the altcoin cycle. I'm going to get into that in a second, but just know that we want to rotate back and forth between Bitcoin and altcoins according to this cycle. So you don't want to just hold altcoins for 2 years and hope for the best. You want to have Bitcoin as the base, and then you want to go into altcoins when the cycle tells you to do it. And then you want to go back into Bitcoin at the end of the altcoin season. So let me get into that a little bit more. We have the Bitcoin season. That's when Bitcoin outperforms altcoins. Altcoins bleed and Bitcoin does better. Either Bitcoin goes up more than altcoins or Bitcoin goes down less than altcoins, right? So whatever's happening, you're better off holding Bitcoin. And then we move into altcoin seasons. That's when altcoins outperform Bitcoin. Altcoins either go up more than Bitcoin or they go down less than Bitcoin. Either way, you're better off holding altcoins. And these seasons last maybe 3 months. The altcoin seasons are usually much shorter than the Bitcoin seasons. And timing these seasons is the key to trading altcoins. Because if you try to buy some altcoin during the Bitcoin season, no matter how good the altcoin is, you're going to lose money. And when we enter the altcoin season, you want to hold altcoins because they explode during altcoin season. So the basic strategy is to buy altcoins using our Bitcoin towards the end of Bitcoin season. And then we want to get back into Bitcoin before the altcoin season ends, right? Because that's when Bitcoin is about to take over and altcoins are going to bleed against Bitcoin. So again, hold Bitcoin during the Bitcoin season. And before we go into the altcoin season, you want to transition into altcoins. And then you want to hold the altcoins during the altcoin season and transition back into Bitcoin before the Bitcoin season. And the goal of this strategy is to accumulate more Bitcoin over time. I don't care about the dollar price of the altcoins. I care about the BTC price of the altcoins. That's like a next level thinking about the altcoins, but just know that we go back into Bitcoin after the altcoin season because we can buy back more Bitcoin than we had before the altcoin season. So let's say you start out with 1 BTC during the Bitcoin season. You just hold your Bitcoin through the entire Bitcoin season. The price of the Bitcoin changes, but let's not think about that. You have 1 BTC, you have 1 coin, right? And then you transition into altcoins. Maybe you sell 60% of your Bitcoin. That's aggressive, but maybe you sell 60% into altcoins, right? Before the altcoin season. Then the altcoins outperform Bitcoin, right? And then before the Bitcoin season enters, you sell those altcoins back into Bitcoin. And maybe you can buy back 2 Bitcoins, right? So now you have 2 coins instead of 1. So when you ride the next Bitcoin season, you have 2 coins instead of 1 coin. So that's the goal of this strategy, to accumulate more Bitcoin, because most altcoins fail in the long run, and Bitcoin is the only sensible long-term bet, right? So we want more BTC. Here you can see the different performance of strategies from Q4 2022 all the way up to Q2 of 2024. So you can see the orange line, that's if you just held altcoins through this period. The blue line is if you held Bitcoin. And the green line shows you how you would do if you traded the cycle perfectly. Of course, this is unrealistic because this is the perfect execution, but you don't have to time it perfectly. You only have to get it sort of right. And that's actually pretty easy because you have to use indicators to time the seasons. Because the key to this strategy is to transition towards the end of the seasons, right? You want to go into altcoins at the end of Bitcoin season. And then you want to go back into Bitcoin at the end of altcoin season. So it's all about timing the cycle, the altcoin cycle. We want to use the Altcoin Season Index. That's an indicator. And then we can also use the Bitcoin dominance and the others dominance. Those are 2 metrics or indicators if you want. And I'm going to show you all 3 and tell you how to use them in this video. So we have the Altcoin Season Index. This is just a number between 0 and 100, and it tells us how many percent of the top 50 altcoins have outperformed Bitcoin over the past 90 days. So for example, at the moment I took this photo, it was at 35, which means that 35% of the top 50 altcoins have done better than Bitcoin over the past 3 months. And when this number is low, when it's below 25, it means that almost no altcoins have outperformed Bitcoin over the past 3 months. And that's the indication of Bitcoin season. Bitcoin has outperformed altcoins for 3 months. When it's above 75, it means that 3/4 of altcoins have outperformed Bitcoin over the past 90 days. And that's the same as altcoin season, right? Because altcoins have outperformed Bitcoin for 3 months. So using this indicator, we can tell if it's altcoin or Bitcoin season. One strategy I'll show you in a second is to just start selling your Bitcoin whenever we are in a Bitcoin season into altcoins gradually, and selling your altcoins into Bitcoin when we are in an altcoin season. Gradually, of course, maybe 5% a week. This indicator shows you how many percent of the market is in Bitcoin versus altcoins. So at the moment, it's at 59.4%. This is early 2025. And that means that 59.44% of the total value in the entire crypto market lies in Bitcoin. So in other words, 40% of the market is in altcoins. And when this indicator goes down, it means that altcoins are taking market share from Bitcoin. In other words, they're outperforming Bitcoin. We can use this indicator to time the rotation between altcoins and Bitcoin. When you think the Bitcoin dominance is going down, you want to get into altcoins. When you think it's going to go up, you want to get into Bitcoin. Then you have the others dominance. This is just the same as the Bitcoin dominance, but instead of Bitcoin, it looks at the altcoins below top 10 ranked by market cap. So basically all small and medium-sized altcoins. It's the market share of those. And at the time I took this image, it was at 9.38%. So almost 10% of the total value in the crypto market was in the small and medium-sized altcoins. This indicator can be used to know if you should rotate into big altcoins or small altcoins, basically. So a complete beginner strategy that's super simple to execute and highly effective is just to look at the Altcoin Season Index. And if it's altcoin season, you sell 5% of your alts into BTC every week. If it's Bitcoin season, you sell 5% of your Bitcoin into altcoins every week. And the thinking here is that altcoin season won't last forever. And when the Altcoin Season Index hits above 75, and it says that we're in an altcoin season, you can start selling your altcoins, because it means that altcoins have outperformed Bitcoin for 3 months and they're expensive relative to Bitcoin. I'm not talking about the dollar price here. I'm talking about the relative price in BTC. So the ratio between the altcoins and Bitcoin is skewed in the altcoins' favor. So you want to transition back into Bitcoin because they have outperformed for 3 months. So you want to start selling gradually, right? Because you never know how long these cycles will last, but you can sell 5% of your alts per week. So if you have 10 different altcoins, you just start selling a little bit of them every week. And the same when it's Bitcoin season. Just take 5% of your BTC and you put it into altcoins every week. You take 10% a month if you want. Just adjust the numbers depending on your risk tolerance and how much you have, basically. Because if you have a portfolio of $200, you don't take $10 a week, right? That's meaningless. But yeah, you get the point. And if you want to go a little bit more advanced, you can use the Bitcoin dominance to adjust the amount that you rotate from altcoins to Bitcoin or Bitcoin to altcoins, depending on which way the big dominance is going. So instead of having a fixed percentage you take every week, you can adjust it depending on the Bitcoin dominance. And then you can also use the others dominance to weight into small versus large altcoins, right? Because if you think the others dominance is going up, you want to get more into the small altcoins. If you think the others dominance is going down, you want to get more into the large altcoins, the top 10, ranked by market cap. This is the basic strategy. We want to buy altcoins when Bitcoin is expensive, right, during the Bitcoin season. And we want to buy Bitcoin when altcoins are expensive, during the altcoin season. And we want to do it gradually because we're never going to time the tops and the bottoms perfectly. So just gradually rotating back and forth between Bitcoins and altcoins, depending on the cycle, and over time accumulate more BTC. But the biggest problem you're facing isn't finding new altcoins or the best prices to buy and sell them at. It's actually staying consistent over time. Here's what most people experience in the crypto market. You get bored when the price goes sideways, and then you FOMO in at the top after a rally, only to be left holding the coins for a few months of sideways or even downwards price action, losing money and losing faith. And I get it. It's really hard and it takes a lot of work and it takes a long time to get good at this. Because you have to track indicators, you have to look for new altcoins, you have to stay on top of narratives that are constantly evolving and changing. You have to keep up with the news cycle. And worst of all, you have to continuously doubt your decisions, because you're never going to be 100% sure about anything you do in the crypto space. You just have to make a strategy and stick to it, even when it feels bad. And that's really hard and it's super painful to do sometimes. But even though it's super hard, you're still here. You're trying to learn, and that's why you're watching this video, because you probably know that crypto is a disruptive asset class with the potential to change entire industries, right? And it's the once-in-a-generation opportunity, similar to the early days of the internet. So how are we going to keep up? Are you going to make the profit you know are within your reach without spending endless hours looking at price charts and reading complicated white papers? That's where I come in. I write a daily newsletter. It's basically a journal for me where I just sit down and write my thoughts about the crypto market and what I'm doing about what's happening right now every single day. You also get portfolio breakdowns once a month. You'll get to see all the altcoins I have and how much I have of each. I also tell you whenever I buy and sell anything. I just send you an email immediately when I do something. Like, for example, I sold 30% of my XRP and put it into Bitcoin. Here's why. And you also get the Solberg report. This is a monthly breakdown of the altcoin cycle that we've talked about in this lesson. And also the market cycle, which is the big 4-year cycle with the bull and the bear markets. And you get some altcoins with extremely high potential that are likely going to zero, but might change your life. And you get concrete swing trade setups with entry and exit prices. If you want to get the daily newsletter to know exactly what I'm doing each and every day, depending on what's happening right now, the portfolio breakdowns once a month, so you can see exactly what altcoins I am holding. And if you want me to send you an email whenever I make any moves at all, if I buy or sell something, and tell you why, and get the Solberg report with a bunch of risky, life-changing potential altcoins and swing trade setups and breakdowns of all the cycle stuff and the indicators we've talked about in this lesson. You can try it for free for 30 days. After that, it's just $25 a month and you can cancel at any time. I started doing this in 2020 and many of my subscribers have been on since the previous bull market. They tell me that they really appreciate the daily letters because it gives them a sense of control and consistency. And whenever something happens, they can always depend on an email in their inbox telling them exactly what's going on and exactly what to do about it, or at least what I'm doing about it. I always try to make it actionable and simple. I want to give you a clear understanding of what's going on right now and exactly what to do about it. I want you to ask yourself, are you consistent, or do you get bored whenever the prices go sideways? And when you know you should do something, you keep putting it off, thinking I'll do it tomorrow because, it's a lot of work and you don't know exactly what to do. Do you have an altcoin strategy, or do you just end up buying the tops and holding on to dead coins for way too long? And what's your exit strategy? Do you have price targets for all your coins? Do you track indicators, or do you just rely on your gut feeling, thinking that intuition is going to make you exit close to the peak of the cycle? And do you trust your sources? Many crypto influencers actually just recommend whatever pays the most referral rewards, right? They send you to predatory exchanges and services trying to get you into leverage trading and stuff like that, which more often than not just makes you lose all your money. But they pay out great referral rewards, so influencers get paid a lot of money to recommend it. And another dark side of this industry is that many influencers actually just start selling the coins that they recommend you buy because they use you as exit liquidity. I never run ads and I never use referral links. I have tens of thousands of email subscribers, and I send out almost 500,000 emails every month. And if I started pushing bad products that pay out great referral rewards, like leverage trading and stuff like that, I would make a lot of money. But most of my subscribers would lose money. The only way I make money is if you love the free trial and you pay me $25 to stay another month. In other words, I only make money if you love the product after you have tried it for free. So if you're looking for an honest source of actionable crypto analysis, if you want to get an over-the-shoulder view on my investing, and if you want to see all the altcoins I'm holding, stay on top of the cycles, getting the Solberg report every month, and get invited to monthly group calls with like-minded investors and traders, you need to join Premium right now. The bull market is here, so don't wait, take action, click the link in the description, and join Premium today. Start your free trial and try Premium for free. Thank you for watching this video, and I'm looking forward to sending you Premium letters.